OzGIS can display your attribute data as several types of maps and diagrams. The basic one is what we call the zones map or the standard choropath map, in which you're displaying some attribute data for some geographic downloaded digitized data, and it's this standard sort of map. However, there's various other sorts of maps you can do. So for example, you can also display site data in various ways. So for example, as sized sites, so you give it an attribute data once again and your geographic data, and you get it displayed as sized symbols. And you can do the normal thing like flick through your attribute data, put overlays on, probably from the same file, using a drawing thing and something to put on a legend, and helps you work out where everything is. So other sorts of maps, also in the site you can do, for example, site data using contours. And once again we'll use the Australia attribute file, which we'll display using the geographic Australian file. And now, as you see, you've got various colors used to display the site data, and you've also got some contour lines around the points. The contour intervals being the same as the intervals on your legend, in other words, used for the classification. Other sorts of maps. Well, we can also display various sorts of lines maps. Unfortunately, I don't really have any test data here, but this is lines, something like rivers, where you might want to show you know, the flow down rivers or the traffic down roads, or capacity of pipes or something like that. And similarly, you can display them the same way as other stuff. So you know, I think about all I've got is some test data here, and as you can see, it's drawn using line types in this case, and you've got a legend appropriately showing you the line types. Now, we use device files to set the colors in a map, and if you want to do bivariate maps, then you probably need a bivariate device file. So I've now got a different set of colors, and I can now show you some bivariate zones maps. Now you use these typically to compare your own data against some standard data like census data. So if I do bivariate zones, it asks me for an attribute file for the zones, and also a second attribute file which can be the same, and then something to draw the map with. And now we've got a bivariate showing two variables. In this case, by default, they've come off the same file. They're both the same, so you can see on your scatter diagram that you've got perfect correlation, as you'd expect, and then you can flick through your attributes to show various other ones. Now the bivariate device file lets us show a legend that is where the colors are gradated each way. So for example, let me show the change the number of classes, for example. Let's do 3 by 3, for example. And now we've got more colors on the legend, and as shown in the map. Other sorts of maps. Similarly, we can do zones and lines, or zones and sites, for 2 attribute files. So you might want to display your attribute data as as sites, for example, for cities or something of the sort, and you can do this in various ways. So do it as size colors, for example. So once again, 2 attribute files, and in this case also 2 geographic files, one for your zones or your polygons in the background, and another one for the sites, something like your cities. And now we have 2 lots of attributes. So the next sequential zone, for example, so you've got household income being shown down here, and your percentage population growth on the other one as size symbols. And now you've got 2 distributions showing. Now this is crowded up a bit, so what you'll probably want to do is go into your features and choose another place to put this on the map. Okay, so up to the top menu again, and that's the various sorts of maps. You can also do diagrams. Now diagrams are a large version of the little diagram you usually get on your map. So for example, values histogram. You know, England data, say, and now this is just a large version of the other, but you can do this standard sort of thing, flick through your attributes, change the way it's classified, and so on. Just generally explore your data. Okay, so that's about it for the various sorts of maps and so on that you can display in OzGIS.